Okay. So in today's class, let us start with one more section, that is section 17. So in previous class, we completed section 16 and we have basic idea of what section 16 is. And when we do the sum, we will do sums which involves application of section 16 as well as section 17. That is why I'm not doing just sums of section 16 alone. So first let us study what is section 17. So let's read the heading of what section 17 says. And section 17 says apportionment of credit. Okay, so this is part one. What is a part one? They are talking about apportionment of credit. So what do you mean by the word apportionment? Apportionment simply means distribution. Okay, it simply means distribution of credit. Why should we distribute the credit? Again, we will study. Okay. Next, the second topic. The first topic is apportionment of credit, and the second topic is blocked credit. That is blocked credit. From your examination point of view, which is more important? I'd say the more questions will come from your blocked credits point of view. Okay, the more questions will come from blocked credit. Apportionment of credit normally in your examination question does not come, but that does not mean that you don't have to study apportionment of credit. And also, to understand apportionment of credit is a difficult concept. I want to give you a heads up right at the beginning. Sir, are you scaring us? No, I'll simplify it for you. So we will study. So section 17 starts with subsection 1, then there is subsection 2, then there is subsection 3, then there is subsection 4, then there is subsection 5. Okay, so normally how do we study any section? We will study from subsection 1, 2, 3, 4. We go on studying that way. But today when we are talking about section 17, we will start with the second topic. I said block rate is more important from your examination point of view, and it is very simple to understand as well. So we will start with blocked credits. Sir, which section talks about block credit? It is section 17 subsection 5. So this is one of the section that I want you to remember. So whenever I say section 17.5, I am referring to blocked credit. Okay. So before even talking about what is blocked credit, I need to explain the term what is blocked credit. Now what do you mean by block? Block means stopping. Okay, stoppage. Now government said, if you purchase anything, you will get input tax credit, provided you are a registered person. That is the one thing which we studied. So government said you have to be registered person, and you purchase anything. If you pay GST on that, you will get input tax credit. So what will happen if I get input tax credit? Whenever I have to pay GST to the government, I can minus the tax already paid and have to pay balance tax. This is what we studied in the previous class as well. But government says 99% of the item what you purchase, we will give you the credit. But that remaining 1% item, what is there? No, even if you purchase, even if you are a registered person, even if it is used in the course or furtherance of your business, we will not give you the input tax credit. We will not give you the input tax credit. Now you may have a question, sir, why are they doing this? Even I have the same question, why are they doing this? But this is a government policy. This is what government said. On 99% we are giving credit, no, take that. 1% you should not take. So there is a list of certain items. You have to remember that list of items, and for those items, even if you purchase, even if you pay GST, you will not get the credit. As simple as that. So I'll give a very simple example. Now let me take one page and I'll explain it to you. Okay, now let us say that I am a chartered accountant. Okay, I am a chartered accountant and I am making some purchases. Okay, what is a purchase I make? Let us say I purchased computer. Okay, I purchased computer, and while purchasing computers, I'm not talking about the value, but I'm talking about the tax. While purchasing computer, I paid GST of rupees 20,000 rupees. I paid GST of 20,000 rupees. Now government says claim ITC on this, no problem at all. So I can claim input tax credit. Answer is yes. I have paid GST. I can claim input tax credit. That means, let us say in the first month of starting my practice, if I have to pay 1 lakh tax rupees, 1 lakh of GST to the government, I can deduct this 20,000 rupees and I have to pay just 80,000 rupees to the government. So 20,000 ITC is allowed. Second, let us say I purchased a mobile phone. I purchased a mobile phone. Now government asks, well, did you purchase this mobile phone for your personal purpose or for the purpose of business? I'll say, see, I have two mobile phones. One is for the business purpose, one is for the personal purpose. So government says, if it is for your personal purpose, no input tax credit. But if it is for your business purpose, no problem, claim credit. Now let us say I purchased some phone and I paid 5,000 rupees as GST. Government said, okay, provided if it is used for business, claim credit. Okay, next. Third, let us say I purchased a car as well. I purchased a car. Now, why I want car? For me to travel from home to office, from office to income tax department, to GST department, to some client's place, I want car. It will save my time as well. So while purchasing car, let us say I purchased some small car for which I had to pay a GST of let us say 1 lakh rupees. I paid GST of 1 lakh rupees. So I am a registered person. This car is used in the course or furtherance of business, but the government says no credit. The government says no credit. Now you may have a question, sir, why no credit? This is computer is also used, then you give the credit. Mobile is also used, you give the credit. Car is also used in the course of furtherance of business. Why no credit? Government says no credit because I said no credit. Simple. You can't argue with government because government is what which makes rules. So where it is told, that is the question comes. Okay, that is a question which comes. That is, where did government tell that on car you will not get the credit? That is what section 15. Section 17 subsection 5. Okay, not section 15. It is section 17 5. So we will study a list of items on which we will not get input tax credit. So first clue I already gave, on car you are not going to get the credit. Is it that simple to by heart? No. Government does not make anything simple. So we need to go back and read in government's language. Okay. So section 17(5). So what are they saying? It starts with very nice word. It says, notwithstanding anything contained. Okay, read this. Normally for your examination purpose, reading like this, not important. But as a CS student, I want you to read like this. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 of section 16. So remember we spoke about section 16 earlier. So section 16, what it says? It says if there is a registered person, if he is purchasing some item, if there is a registered person, if he is purchasing some item which is used in his business, he will get the credit. But section 17 subsection 5, it says what? Notwithstanding, we don't care. Section 17(5) is saying, I don't care what is told by section 16(1). What I am saying, that is final. Okay. Not only for 16(1), they're also saying the same thing for 18(1). But what is 18(1)? We have not studied yet. So let us ignore it as of now. So 16(1) says something, we don't care. Listen to what we say. What are they saying? First, they are saying motor vehicles. Okay. Motor vehicles. Okay, no, we will continue reading. We did not read completely, sorry. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 of section 16 and subsection 1 of 18, input tax credit shall not be available. So this is very important. They are saying input tax credit shall not be available in respect of the following. So for the following items, there is no ITC. Which are those? First one is motor vehicle. First one is for what? It is for motor vehicle. For transportation of persons. For transportation of persons, they're talking about. So motor vehicles can be used for two purposes. One is for transportation of passengers and one is for transportation of goods. So here, what are they talking about? They're talking about motor vehicles for transportation of persons having approved seating capacity of not more than 13 persons, including the driver. Okay, so they are talking about a small vehicle. Okay, small vehicle which cannot carry more than 13 people, except when they are used for making the following taxable supplies, namely further supply of such motor vehicles, transportation of passengers, imparting training or driving such motor vehicles. So now what are they saying? I'll help you to understand this in a better way. Okay, so in your notes also, you need to have a notes with you so that for your examination, you can refer it very quickly. Now, what does it say? It says motor vehicle can be broadly classified. Okay, motor vehicles for goods and passengers. Okay, so we are only talking about what as of now? Are we talking about goods? We are not talking about goods. We are only talking about what? We are only talking about passengers. Okay, it can also be for goods purpose as well. So we are only talking about passengers. Now if I'm talking about passengers also, the vehicle can have seating capacity. Okay, there can be different seating capacities. So here, less than 13 people, that is seating capacity. I'm talking about seating capacity, or more than 13 people. Bear with my handwriting. Okay, I just want you to understand it and I want you to write down. So if the motor vehicle is designed to carry passengers, it could be the motor vehicle seating capacity is less than 13 people or more than 13 people. So now, less than, okay, what is the word they are using? One second. Not more than 13. Not more than 13 means. So more than 13 and less than 13. Less than or equal to 13. Okay, less than or equal to 13. Now here they are saying here more than 13 people. Then if it is more than 13 people, then ITC is available. Okay, ITC is available. If it is a big bus, ITC is available. But if it is a small car, ITC is not available. ITC is not available. But again, they're not being that direct. They're also saying two more conditions. What is two more condition? The condition is like this. They're saying if it is used for three purposes, what are the three purposes? They are saying if it is used for further supply, if it is used for further supply, or if it is used for transportation of passengers, transportation of passengers, or if it is used for imparting training, again ITC is available. They're saying ITC is available. Other purpose, ITC not available. This is a very important one. Exam questions come on this. So let's quickly revise what we studied. I hope you're done writing this particular part. So what are they saying? A motor vehicle can be for broadly two purposes. One is for transportation of passengers or transportation of goods. If it is for transportation of passengers, again, the seating capacity can be 13 or less than 13 or more than 13. If it is more than 13, for example, bus, okay, for example, bus, input tax credit is available, no problem. But if it is for less than 13, if it is for less than 13 people, they are saying, if it is, if that particular motor vehicle is used for further supply, so I'm purchasing motor vehicle and I'm selling that motor vehicle. So who am I am a showroom. I am showroom. For me, ITC is available. Or let us say I am purchasing the motor vehicle and giving it on rent. Okay, so even if I'm giving that motor vehicle for rent, that time for me input tax rate is available. Also, if I'm using it for transportation of passengers, let us say there is a cab which I'm purchasing and I'm transporting the passengers. So input tax rate is available to me. Or if I'm imparting training, that is I am a driving school. And I have purchased car in which I'm actually training people. That time also input tax rate is available for me. But if I'm using this motor vehicle for any other purpose, ITC is not available. What other purpose could be? Same, I am a chartered accountant. I have purchased a car for my self-driving purpose. So is it for further supply? Answer is no. I'm not selling it to somebody else. I'm not giving it to rent for somebody else. Am I transporting the passengers? I am not Uber Ola guy. I am just transporting myself. Okay, so it is not passengers, not falling in the second case. Am I imparting training purpose? Am I training somebody? Answer is no. I'm not teaching somebody to how to drive. So in that case, I fall in the other purpose. For me, ITC is not available. So this is the one aspect you need to understand. Now, earlier when GST was introduced, they said there was no distinction between less than 13 and more than 13 people. Nobody had the credit, but this year they made one amendment. Okay, last year they made this amendment, and they said we will have this further bifurcation, and more than 13 people we will give input tax credit. Okay, so that is the first aspect what we studied. Okay, there are so many things to cover today. Next, so we just spoke about motor vehicle. What about, say, motor vehicle, basically what we travel on the land. What about if we have something which travels by water, that is ship, also we call it as vessel. Or what if which flies in the air, that is aircraft. Do we get the credit of the same? They are saying no, there is no partiality. If there is for motor vehicle we are not giving, why are we giving credit for your boat and flight? So they are saying if vessel and aircraft if you are using, you will also not get the credit. But again they are saying if you are using that aircraft or vessel for further supply of such vessels, same thing, you should have a showroom of airplanes. You purchase airplanes, you sell airplanes, or of vessel you purchase boats or you sell boats. Or it could be you purchase airplane and give it on rent. At that time credit is available. You purchase vessel and give it on rent, credit is available. Next, transportation of passengers. So if you're purchasing boat and you in that boat you're actually transporting the passengers, okay, that time credit is available. Or if you're purchasing the flight in which you're actually transporting the passengers, credit is available. But let us say even like Ambani, you purchase the flight for your own travel, credit is not available for you. Okay, but let us say it is Indigo Airlines and they are purchasing it and they're transporting the passengers, credit is available for them. Okay, next, imparting training and navigating such vessels and aircraft both. So if I am purchasing boat and teaching somebody how to navigate through that boat, or if I am purchasing an aircraft and teaching somebody how to fly the aircraft, then I get the credit. So very simple thing. So whatever was applicable for motor vehicles, this condition, it is also applicable for who? Also applicable for vessels and aircraft. So in vessel and aircraft, we don't have that condition, the small one or the big one, less than 13, more than 13. That condition is not there. Next is for transportation of goods. This is important. For transportation of goods, what are they saying? Look at it. Vessels and aircraft, except when they are used for transportation of goods. So if I am purchasing, understand this way. So if I am purchasing a vessel, that is boat, or if I am purchasing an aircraft and I'm using that to transport the goods, credit is available. Credit is available only if it is used for transportation of passengers. Only if it is used for transportation of people, then this condition is applicable to them. Very simple aspect. Then comes one more question, that is let's continue. Now I purchased a motor vehicle. And let us say small car. Okay, I purchased one small car, and the government said I'll not be able to claim the credit. I said all right, fine. But after purchasing the car, every 2 months I need to take my car to service. Okay, I need to take my car to service, or every year I need to pay insurance, or else actually I don't want to pay insurance. But if I don't pay insurance, what will happen? The cops will stop me, the traffic police will catch me, and they will say pay 500,000, 2,000, whatever it is. So for that purpose, at least I do the insurance. When I do the insurance, I'll pay GST on that as well. Let us say insurance is 10,000 rupees I had to pay, plus 2,000 rupees GST which I paid. Now can I claim credit of this 2,000 rupees? Again, this is an amendment, and they're very clearly saying we did not give credit on your car. We did not give credit when you purchased your car. We will not give credit when you do your insurance as well. Simple. If you don't get credit for your car, you will not get credit for your insurance. You will not get credit for your service. You will not get credit for your repairs and maintenance. But on the other hand, let us say I had purchased a bus. Which has a seating capacity of more than 13 people. Whether credit is available to me? Answer is yes. Credit is available to me. So once credit is available, if I do insurance of that bus, whether ITC is available for that insurance GST portion? Answer is yes, because government will say, we give credit for your bus only. Why will not give credit for your insurance? Why will not give credit for your repair? We will give credit, don't worry. So you need to understand, if for the vehicle, if I'm getting input tax credit, even for the insurance, I'm getting input tax credit. But for the vehicle only, if I'm not getting input tax credit, even for the insurance or service or repairs or maintenance, anything, I'll not get the credit. Okay, very clear on this particular aspect as well. Okay. Then they are saying this. Provided that the input tax credit in respect of such service shall be available where the motor vehicles, vessels are used for the purpose specified therein. That is what I explained. If you are getting credit for the vehicle, you will also get the credit for insurance as well. Next, were received by a taxable person engaged in the manufacture of such motor vehicles. Okay, now let us say I am a manufacturer of motor vehicles and I have taken insurance on all the vehicles which are manufactured. The law says I will get the credit. Okay. Again, at the end of the day, I'm further supplying it, so I should be eligible for the credit, no doubt about it. And even for the insurance company, if they're doing reinsurance, they'll get the credit. So what is this reinsurance concept? Very simple. And moreover, you learn it in your audit chapter. But let me explain it to you. See, what is this reinsurance? Reinsurance means, let us say, okay, I'll give it simply put this way. I'll give an example to you. You will understand it. Say, which is the insurance company? Let me say there is Reliance, which provides insurance, and then there is Religare. Okay, there is Religare, one more company which provides insurance. Now let us say Religare has given insurance for 1 lakh cars in India. How many cars? 1 lakh cars in India. But they feel that this much of insurance is too much for them, too much risky. So they want to shift their risk. So they will ask Reliance. Well, see, we have already promised 1 lakh car owners that if something happens to their car, we are going to reimburse whatever the money that they will spend on the repair. But 1 lakh is way too much for me to handle alone. So Reliance, do you want to share some risk of mine? And I will give you some, I'll give you some, what do I say, commission. So Religare transfers insurance of, let us say, 30,000 cars to Reliance. At that time, Reliance will be able to claim credit. Reliance will be able to claim credit of this insurance portion. Again, not very important from your examination point. Absolutely, there can be question on this particular aspect. Next. Okay. Now, point number B. Now, this is very interesting. Now, from here onwards, there is no understanding. Just read once in examination, you will remember it. There is nothing to by heart in this. You don't have to reproduce it as it is. No, you just have to read it, understand it. Okay. Now, they are saying following supply of goods or service or both, you will not get the credit. Which and all? First one is, if you purchase food, you will not get the credit. So it may happen that, I have my office. So instead of bringing tiffin from my home, what will I do? I will sit in my office. I will take my mobile phone. I'll open what? I'll open Zomato and I will order some food item. So again, Zomato, while order comes, they will charge some GST to me. Okay, the food bill comes to, let's say, some 500 rupees and some 25 rupees as GST. Can I claim credit of that 25 rupees? Can I say that, see, I am a registered person and I am eating because I need to work from morning to evening? I'm also, see, this is morning, forget, I'll be at home, night, I'll be at home, but afternoon I'm at office. No, shouldn't I be getting the credit? It is used for the purpose of my business. The law says, no, it's okay. You might be right, but we are not giving the credit. So on food, I'm not getting the credit. On beverages, if I'm purchasing, let us say, Coca-Cola, Sprite, no, I'm not getting credit. Outdoor catering. Outdoor catering means, let us say, once in a year, office annual day. And what will I do? I'll bring all my staffs and I will say, let's celebrate and I'll But celebrate, I can't cook no for my staffs, nor I can ask my staffs to cook for themselves. So what will I do? I will contact one catering person and I will say, come to my office and bring all these 10-20 items and serve it to them, and he will give me the bill. Can I say that this is used for the purpose of my business? All my employees said, government said, yeah, we understand, but no credit. Simple, don't argue. Okay. So on food and beverages, I'll not get the credit. Outdoor catering, I'll not get the credit. Beauty treatment, I'll not get the credit. So now what is this beauty treatment? Let us say that mine is a news channel. I run a news channel, and if you look at my news anchor, after they wake up, you will not even watch the news, and they may look that horrible. So what will I do is I'll hire a makeup man and who will do the beauty treatment, put that foundation, all those, I don't know, items, but he'll put all those on their face. So he will charge a bill to me, and he may also charge GST to me. Can I claim the credit? Answer is no, because it is section 17 subsection 5 clause B, which says beauty treatment, no credit. Health services, oh, this is important. On health services also I'll not get the credit. Okay. Next one is cosmetic, uh, cosmetic and plastic surgery. So again, so if somebody does a plastic surgery, and if they say this is for the purpose of my business, I'm doing this. For example, let us say models, okay, or the heroines, almost all the heroes and heroines in Bollywood go through this plastic surgery. Uh, so now, will they get the credit? Even it is necessary for their business. That is for them to look better, because what sells in movie industry is the looks, and for them to look better, if they do plastic surgery, and even if they spend huge amount of GST on that, they will not get the credit. But no, we will continue. Let's not stop with but. Now, this is the next important line. Very interesting one. They are saying leasing, renting, or hiring of motor vehicles. Sir, why motor vehicles in class B? Class A already covered motor vehicles. No, see, I'll tell you why exactly they inserted here. What people did was, when people purchased motor vehicles, first clause only says you will not get the credit. So now what they started doing, they did not purchase the motor vehicles. See, this is Indians. Whenever government gives one provision, we always look into how to bypass that provision. So what they did, they instead of purchasing the motor vehicle, they said, see, if I purchase the car, I will not get the credit. So what will I do? I will purchase car in my sister's name. Okay, in my sister's name, sister purchases the car, and I will ask my sister to lease that car to me. So am I purchasing the car? Answer is no. What am I doing? I'm actually renting the car, or hiring the car, or leasing the car. So for this particular transaction, if let us say my sister charges GST to me, can I claim the credit? Law says even if you purchase, you will not get the credit. Even if you take it on lease, rent, hire, you will not get the credit. So motor vehicles, you forget, you will not get the credit at all. Then next, vessels or aircraft. Okay, motor vehicles also you will not get. You will not get for vessels, or also you will not get for aircraft. Easy. Next, to in clause A or AA, except when they're used for the purpose specified therein, life insurance or health insurance. Okay. So what are they saying is, now let us say, if I am having a driving school, and if I am purchasing the motor vehicle, will I get the credit? Answer is yes. Simply they told, if it is for imparting driving knowledge, I'll get the credit. So I don't have enough money. I am a driving school. I don't have enough money to purchase the car. So what am I going to do? I'm going to lease the car. I'm going to rent the car from somebody else. So now will I get the credit on this lease portion? The government says, see, even if you purchase, we would give you the credit. So even if you are leasing, we will give you the credit. Simple. So if you are purchasing, if we are not giving you credit, even when you're leasing it, we will not get the credit. That is the entire logic behind this particular provision. Next, they are talking about life insurance, no credit. Life insurance, no credit. Health insurance, no credit. So in the office, I may do life insurance of my employees. I may do health insurance of my employees. I will not get the credit. This is what one particular provision says. Next, there is a provision. Okay, now this particular provision, it is very common. It gets repeated most of the places in this section 17.5. So I want to explain what this proviso is. So proviso is basically an exception. Okay, so this is an exception. So what is exception? Oh, what did I write? This is not even a spelling of exception. 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 So what is exception? Exception is pretty simple. They're saying, look, provided that ITs in respect of such goods or service or both shall be available, where an inward supply of such goods or service or both is used by the registered person for making an outward taxable service, outward taxable supply of same category of goods or service or both, or as an element of taxable or composite supply. What are they saying? Simple. Okay. Let me give an example to you. Say I have a bakery of mine. I have a bakery of mine. So what am I purchasing? I purchase food items. I purchase food items. I sell the food items. Correct? I purchase, let us say, I purchase samosa and I sell samosa. Okay. I purchase biscuits. I sell biscuits. So I am purchasing food items, I am selling food items. But if you directly look at this particular clause, what does it say? It says on food you will not get the credit. So if I'm bakery guy, if I'm purchasing biscuit and selling biscuit, so they're saying on purchasing biscuit you will not get the credit. If that is the case, then bakery guy will suffer. So they added this exception and they said, if you're purchasing any item, for further sale, you will get the credit. But if you're purchasing an item for self-consumption, that is opening the biscuit packet and eating, I will not get the credit. Very simple. So if I'm purchasing food and beverages, further supplying, I'll get the credit. If I'm taking the service of a caterer to give a catering service, credit is available. Sir, can you give an example? Yes. So let us say I am an event manager. I'm an event manager, and one particular, let us say you are getting married. Okay, you yourself are getting married. So you have hired me, and as an event manager, what and all I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to give you wedding hall, and I'm also supposed to supply all those music, the sound systems as well, and also I'm supposed to supply food. Okay, this is an agreement between you and I. So now I'm an event manager. I don't have a kitchen of mine. So what will I do is I'll approach a caterer and I will say, look, I want your service. So what this caterer is providing it to me, he's providing food. He's providing outdoor catering service to me. But am I eating those items? No, I am further supplying it to you. Okay, I'm further supplying it to you. So whatever this caterer is billing to me, and if there is any GST element in that, I'll get the credit of the same. Very simple aspect. Okay. So remember this particular exception, because this exception gets repeated. So what does this exception says? If I am purchasing something to further sell, if I am purchasing something to sell, I'll get the credit. Now, I may purchase in one form, but sell in another form. Okay, little tricky. I may purchase biscuit, sell biscuit. So it is in the same form, purchasing food, selling food. Same form did not change. But if I am taking caterer service and providing event management service, it actually changed. The form did change, but they are saying form doesn't matter. If you're purchasing and further selling it in whatever form you want to supply, you will get the credit. Next, so we studied food and beverages point. Next one is membership of a club, health and fitness center. So let us say I am a very big company, MNC, and I want my employees to be healthy. Okay, so what will I do? I will take, I'll give them membership of some club, health and fitness center, some gym membership. I'll give it to them, and gym will also charge huge amount of money for the company only, and GST also will be there. So the law says, though it is important, we will not give you the credit on that. Okay, and then there is no provision for that, no exception. Okay, next is travel benefits. Travel benefits extended to employees on vacation, such as leave or home travel concession. Okay, what are they saying? They're saying travel benefits extended to employees on vacation, such as leave or home travel concession. So normally, you may have some of your relatives or friends, you may have it or may not have it also, but I'm assuming that you have some of your relatives who are working in abroad. Okay, and the company has a policy that, you know, once in a year the company only pays flight tickets and send employees back to India. Okay, same thing can be in the Indian companies as well. So let us say there is a company which is located in Delhi, and the company which is located in Delhi may have a policy that once in a year they will send the employees from Delhi to their home, wherever it is. Or there might be a possibility that, you know, once in 2 years the company will sponsor, or company will give money for the employees to roam someplace and come back, you know, foreign trip or a local trip, all those things. And for this particular travel, there is transportation cost, then there is traveling expenditure. For this, they will not get the credit. The company will not get the input tax credit. Okay, simple aspect. Then there is exception. This exception, they're saying provided that the input tax credit in respect of such goods or service or both shall be available where it is obligatory for an employer to provide the same to its employees under any law for the time he imports. Interesting. So what are they saying? Let me give an example. Say I'm a company. And I have, I'm a company and I have 10 employees who are working for me. So what do I do? Instead, so I feel that my employees are going out for lunch break and, spending 2 hours for lunch and coming back because hotel is somewhere very far. So they are actually going all the way and, spending 2 hours and coming back. And I feel my office hour is wasted. So I'll tell my employees, you don't go outside, you eat here only. So employees will say, sir, we don't have anybody to cook for us at home. So I'll say, don't worry, I'll get a caterer, and caterer every day will supply food for you people, 10 people. You eat it. So every month the caterer will give the bill to me. Now, can I claim the credit? Law specifically says no, because outdoor caterer service, I cannot claim the credit. But there is the exception. What is the exception? The exception is, they are saying, if for the employer, if it is obligatory, statutorily required, then credit is available. For example, let us say I am running a factory. Okay, I'm running a factory and there are 400 employees who are working for me. So there is a separate act called as Factories Act, and you don't have to study this act in your inter, I believe. So there is a separate act for those factory employees called as Factories Act, which requires that if the number of employees exceeds certain number, I believe it is 200 or 250, then it is the factory's responsibility to give food to the employees. So now it is a statutory requirement. I cannot say I'm not going to supply the food to you. It is statutory requirement. It is as per law, I need to provide food to them. Now for this, if I'm taking service of some outdoor caterer, then credit is available to me. Okay, but voluntarily, if I just want to say 1-2 hours of my employees and I'm taking service of outdoor catering, ITC is not available. So this is one of the aspects you need to understand. Next, they're talking about works contract services. They're talking about works contract services when supplied for construction of an immovable property, except where it is an input service for further supply of works contract service. Sir, what are they even saying? let's simplify it. So they are saying, look, let us say that I constructed my office. There was just a plot of land. So what did I do? I hired a contractor. And I told my contractor, you only supply labors, you only supply materials. Okay, both material and labor service are both given by the contractor, then it becomes works contract service. Okay, so first thing is we need to understand what is works contract. Labor and material both are supplied by one contractor only, then it becomes works contract service. Now entire cost comes to, let us say, some 30 lakh rupees, for which he is going to give me a GST invoice. 30 lakh rupees plus 5,40,000 as GST. So can I claim the credit of this 5,40,000? Law says clearly no. Works contract services, input tax credit is not available. But there is one exception, small exception. What is that exception? Exception is if one contractor takes service of another contractor, then credit is available. Let me show you how it happens, or else you may miss the point. Okay, I'll wait. Okay, let us say this is me. Okay, this is Mr. A. Okay, now Mr. A wants an office, okay, for which he will hire whom? Mr. B. Okay, so he is the contractor. Now Mr. B, let us draw Mr. B as well. Now Mr. B cannot do the entire work on his own, so he hires another contractor called as Mr. C. Now who is hiring Mr. C? Mr. A is hiring? No, Mr. B is hiring. So Mr. B hired Mr. C, a subcontractor. We call him as a subcontractor. So now what happened? Mr. C gave invoice to Mr. B. Okay, Mr. C will do some work and he'll give invoice to Mr. B. Let us say he gave invoice of 10 lakh rupees plus 1,80,000 as GST. Total is how much? 11,80,000 rupees. So Mr. C gave that invoice to whom? He gave that invoice to Mr. B. Now Mr. B, what did he do? He gave invoice to Mr. A of how much? Of 30 lakh plus 5,40,000 rupees. That is 35,40,000 rupees. Now we need to study what credit is available, what credit is not available. So law clearly says for Mr. A, that is for me, the 5,40,000 rupees credit is not available. Not available. Why? Because this is ITC of works contract service. For me, it is not available. But for Mr. B has paid 1,80,000 rupees to Mr. C. So whether for Mr. B the credit is available, answer is yes. For him it is available. For Mr. B, ITC is available, but for Mr. A, ITC is not available. Okay. Simple aspect. So now when Mr. B has to pay tax to government, so what did Mr. B do? He collected 5,40,000 rupees from me. So instead of directly paying this 5,40,000 rupees to government, he will deduct this 1,80,000 and pay balance 3,60,000 rupees to government. Simple. But as far as Mr. A is concerned, nothing. So entire 30,54,000 will become my cost. I will not get any credit. Okay. Simple aspect. Okay. So now after looking at this particular provision as an Indian, okay, I want to find some jugaad. Okay, I want to find a way in which I can claim the credit. So law said what? If you are taking works contract service, credit is not available. So what will I do? I will not take works contract. So when it will become works contract, if I'm taking material and service, both it becomes works contract. No? So what will I do? I will hire a contractor and I will tell him, you just give me service. You just give me service. Material I will only purchase. Sand, cement, everything I'll only purchase. Steel, wood, I'll only purchase. You come just do the labor service. So on these items, on these materials, whether credit is available to me or not, let's see what it says. It says, so if you are taking both together, okay, if you are taking both goods and service together, it becomes what? It becomes works contract service, ITC is not available. So if I'm taking separately, that is goods separately, services separately, government side, even then also it is not available. So even if you want to plan it that way, credit is not available. So if you take it together, it becomes works contract, credit is not available. If you take it separately, goods separately, services separately, that time also credit is not available. That is what they're talking here. They're saying goods or service are both received by a taxable person for construction of an immovable property other than plant and machinery. Oh, this is one exception. This is important. Examination question, most of the time this they'll ask. Okay, put star. So what is this? They're saying if I am purchasing goods and services for construction of immovable property, credit is not available except plant and machinery. So if I am purchasing some goods or services, which will be used to make a plant or which will be used to make a machinery, credit is available. Credit is available. Otherwise, it is not available. Okay. So I am purchasing cement to build the building. Okay, to build the building, credit is not available. But I'm purchasing cement to make this machinery, to fix this machinery on the ground, credit is available. Okay, next, on his own account. That is what, no? Instead of saying the contractor, you only bring material and service. I'm just saying I'll only purchase material, you just do the service. So even if I'm doing on my own account also, credit is not available. Even if you use that entire building in the course of furtherance of business. Okay. Next point, very interesting. Okay, you don't have to remember very technically, very simple points. You just have to understand the logic of it. Next, clause E. What does it say? Goods or service are both on which tax has been paid under section 10. Section 10, I told whenever I say section 10, you need to remember the section, which is this. They are talking about composition. Let us say I purchased item worth rupees 1 lakh from a composition dealer. First question is, will he give me a tax invoice? Answer is no. He will give me bill of supply. So I don't know why they inserted this particular provision here, because he is giving bill of supply. There in section 16 they say, for me to avail credit, I should have tax invoice with me. So I don't have a tax invoice only, so there is no way I can claim the credit. But still they are saying, if there is any confusion, they are solving the confusion here. So composition dealer, I purchased item worth rupees 1 lakh. He will pay 1%. He will pay 1% on this. So he will pay 1000 rupees to government. He will pay 1000 rupees to government. So will I get the credit of this 1000 rupees? Answer is no. I will not get the credit. Simple point. Next, goods or service are both received by a NRTP except on goods imported by him. What are they saying? So they are talking, this is only exclusively for whom? NRTP. Examination, they will not ask question, but we need to study. So what are we studying? Let me explain it to you. Okay. So here, let us say there is one guy. Okay, let us call him as Chris Gale. Okay, so now Chris Gale is from West Indies. Okay, he's a foreigner. So he's from West Indies. Actually, there is no country called as West Indies, but let us say that is only a cricket team what we have. But let us say he's from some Caribbean country, West Indies. Chris Gale. Okay. Now what happens? He comes to India. Okay, this is India. He comes to India. Why? To play matches? No, but to sell cricket bats. So let us say he comes to India and he purchases cricket bats in India. Then he sells in India. Input tax credit is not available. Where did it go? Okay, here. If he purchase bat in India, ITC not available. But instead of purchasing bat in India, if he is directly bringing bat from West Indies, then he is selling in here. Then whatever the GST, whatever he pays while importing the goods, that is available to him. So if he is purchasing bat, if he is bringing bat from West Indies only, ITC is available. But if he is purchasing bat in India, ITC is not available. Very simple. So who is an NRTP? NRTP is a person who is a non-resident, who is not a resident of India, but who comes to India for a shorter period of time to do some business activities, then he goes back. That person is NRTP. Okay, so he'll not get the credit of items which he purchases within India. Very simple provision, nothing complicated there. Okay, next this is goods or service are both used for personal consumption. So very simple point, I have purchased some goods, I'm using it for my personal purpose. Let us say I purchased air conditioner. Okay, I purchased 3 air conditioner. 2 air conditioner I installed in my office. 3rd air conditioner I'm installing it at my home. So will I get credit for all the 3 air conditioner? Answer is no, because only if it is used for the purpose of my business, I'll get it. If it is used for personal consumption, I'll not get it. Okay, next. H, 17.5H. Now, this one thing you need to remember the number as well, 17.5H. So what is the 17.5H? It talks about goods lost, goods stolen, goods destroyed, goods written off, or disposed of by way of gift or free samples. So they are saying, let us say I am a mobile dealer. Okay, I have a mobile shop. I purchase mobile phones, I sell mobile phones. So when I purchased mobile phone, can I claim credit on that? Answer is yes, I can claim the credit on that. Okay, so let us say I purchased one mobile phone, I claim the credit. Okay, I claim the credit on this particular mobile phone. But what happened? One day somebody broke into my shop and they stole all my mobile phones. So law says you cannot claim the credit. If you already claimed the credit, reverse the credit, return that money to us. Very simple. Or so stolen, what is lost? Nobody stole it, but I only lost it somewhere. Or if it is destroyed, there is some huge rain and some tsunami kind of event, all my goods are destroyed, I have to reverse the credit. I have to repay the credit to the government. If I have not claimed the credit, then I cannot claim the credit. If I already claimed the credit, I need to repay it to the government. Or disposed by way of gift or free samples. Actually, there is a very technical discussion on this, but for your inter syllabus, let's have a very simple discussion. Let us say, I purchased this mobile phone. I purchased this mobile phone. Now, what am I doing is I am just giving this mobile phone as a gift, okay, as a gift to somebody. So what do I say? When do I say it as gift? If I'm not collecting even 1 rupee, I'm calling it as gift. So I'm giving it as free for somebody. Then they're saying I'll not get the credit. When I purchase whatever the GST I paid, I'll not get the credit because I am not collecting any money from my customer. Okay. So if I'm giving it by way of gift or by way of free samples, normally in medicines, medical industry, pharmacy industry, this happen. So let us say there is one company which purchased tablets, but to introduce this particular tablets, I will go on giving this as free sample to the doctors. So I'll not get the credit which I paid at the time of purchase. Then the last clause, okay, that is any tax paid in accordance with the provision of section 74, 129, 130. Or what is this particular thing? Very simple. That is, it is beyond your syllabus. Okay, that is one very simple explanation which I give. But if I give that, you'll always be confused. What is this? What is this? What is this? So I'll give you a very small understanding or one small explanation of what is this. Let us say I am actually purchasing from, actually purchasing some items. Let us say I'm a furniture dealer. I am purchasing furniture from one furniture manufacturer. And this furniture manufacturer never pays tax. Okay. He is of that attitude, my uncle is MLA, MP, I don't have to pay, no matter whatever the demand comes, I will face it. That type of mentality this person has. So he never paid any GST. And so let us say the value of furniture was 1 lakh rupees. He would just send it 1 lakh rupees. Don't pay any GST. I said, all right, if you're not asking, why should I pay? But what happened? Suddenly there is some GST raid. Okay, GST raid. Not only income tax, even GST raid also happens. There is GST raid to his factory. And they told he has to pay tax on all his sales. So now what he will do? He will call me up and he will say, see, I called my uncle also, MLA, MP, no help, nothing can be done. So I have to pay GST. So I supplied that furniture of 1 lakh rupees, pay 12,000 extra, 12,000 extra as GST, which he will pay to the government. So now if I pay this 12,000 rupees to him, can I claim credit of that 12,000 rupees? Government says no. Because why is he paying? Is he paying voluntarily out of his own wish? No. He's paying out of all this GST raid. That is right. There is no word called as raid in the act, but there is some investigation which is going against him. That is where he's paying GST. So that credit I cannot avail. So more about this you will learn in your say finance. But this is what section 17(5) is. So we studied certain provisions. We studied certain provisions which says, which are the circumstances you will not get the credit. All right. So I want to end the class of today with just section 17(5). I'm not even touching 17(1), 2, 3, 4. Because I told you there are two portions in section 17. One is apportionment and one is blockage. Okay, we studied blocked credits. So blocked credit means on certain purchases you will not get the credit. So we studied which are those items on which you will not get the credit. A very quick revision. So here on motor vehicles you will not get the credit. There are certain exceptions. What are the exceptions? More than 13 seating capacities, you will get the credit. Less than 13 seating capacities, you will not get the credit. But there is an exception. What is exception? If it is used for further supply, if it is used for training purpose, if it is used for transportation of passengers, you will still get the credit. Same logic applies to vessels as well as aircraft. Then we said about repair insurance, when you will get the credit, when you will not get the credit. Then we spoke about food and beverages, some beauty items, plastic surgery, all these things. We spoke about this. Membership of club, we spoke about this. Travel benefits, you don't get the credit, but again, if it is mandatory, you will get the credit. Then we spoke about works contract service, you will not get the credit, but contractor will get the credit if he's taking subcontracted services. That also we discussed. Then if I'm purchasing on my own account goods and services to create immovable property, I'll not get the credit. But if it is for plant and machinery, I'll get the credit. Next, if I'm purchasing for composition scheme, I'll not get the credit. If I'm purchasing from if NRTP is purchasing an item in India, you'll not get the credit. Then if I'm purchasing something for my personal consumption, then there is no credit. The goods are stolen, destroyed, or if it is lost, written off, disposed of by way of gifts or samples, they'll not get the credit. Then the last one is if any tax which is paid in accordance with section 74, that is fraud cases, or 129, 130, that is investigation cases, I will not get the credit. The government may prescribe any manner. Okay, that again, the 6 talks about what do I say? Again, apportionment portion. So 17.5 talk about block credits. So that's it for today's class. Okay.